July 4th is always a big deal in Philadelphia, particularly this year, 2026, because it's the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, as it was written and signed in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in 1776. However, July 4th was not the day that it was signed. It was the day when I don't know if all the delegates or signers agreed upon the final text, and it was decided that it would be the final draft of the document, and it wasn't signed actually until August 2nd, 1776. So this is one of the things that Philadelphia is most known for, hence July 4th is always a big deal here. Pretty typically do have stuff going on, but particularly this year, you have all the July 4th, 250th anniversary events going on. You got the Wawa festival, the Wawa free concert by the Art Museum. A lot of big names this year, including I think Christina Aguilera's headliner, but also a lot of famous Philly artists like Jill Scott. State Property, they're performing. It's a free concert. But though colonial, like the Declaration of Independence history, is what Philadelphia is most known for, along with Rocky and cheesesteaks, I would argue that it is not the thing that makes Philadelphia unique as much as some other details. Like, for example, so during the time around the signing of the Declaration and up until the early 19th century into the 1820s, Philadelphia was the busiest port and was the center of commerce and banking in the original 13 colonies and the whole country, up until the Erie Canal was finished being built in 1825, at which point New York City overtook Philadelphia as the most important and busiest port, and therefore the shipping, receiving, the port activity is one of the things that receives the most investments, big investments, and hence became the center of banking and commerce as well. So you could almost say if the Erie Canal was never built, Philadelphia might have ended up being the most important U.S. city and not New York, but that's not what happened. So once the Erie Canal was built, which connected the Hudson River to the Great Lakes, there was much more shipping and commerce in New York compared to Philadelphia. So Philadelphia lost some of a significant amount of the money coming in to the city. So they did try to invest in the trade infrastructure in Philadelphia, but it wasn't as successful. So it fell behind as far as commerce and finance. But Philadelphia transitioned into a diversified manufacturing economy. So Philadelphia was known for having many different diverse manufactories where they built anything from ships to locomotives. They made pharmaceuticals, dental instruments, they made steel, they made textiles. Textiles is a big sector of the manufacturing sector, as well as they made rail cars. Like, almost, they would say at the time, 90% of anything that could be manufactured Philadelphia was making during the heyday of manufacturing. And also what made Philadelphia's manufacturing unique is that they didn't do any mass production. They were mostly small to medium-sized ventures, often family owned or by partners, business partners, and not a lot of, no like huge corporate entities, all small to medium sized. and they didn't do mass production. They did specialty and custom and niche goods for niche markets, and that's what allowed the Philadelphia manufacturing um, businesses to succeed. And it wasn't until like the 1920s was when it started uh, to decline as U.S. Consumers moved toward buying mass produced cheap goods as opposed to specialty goods. And then after the 1950s, the decline really started happening. And then 1940 was when Philadelphia's population was at its largest, over 2 million, and the population started to decline. And it didn't start to increase again until, like, I believe the first decade of the 2000s, I believe, is when it started to increase again, but mostly due to new immigrants coming in and not people moving into Philadelphia. One could argue that the people that made Philadelphia to what it is, because it was during this period from the 1820s and up until 1950 when Philadelphia experienced the biggest growth. So anybody who has roots in Philadelphia and the surrounding suburbs probably first had ancestors come here during that period. So these were the people that created the identity and culture of Philadelphia. So I think its manufacturing history should be more like advertised. I don't know how you say it, but more of a thing that Philadelphia should be known for, because it's a lot to do with how Philadelphia and Philadelphians are today. Like, one of the things that people seem to identify with in Philadelphia is grit and toughness. And we could argue that because during the heyday of manufacturing, most of the manufacturers were producing custom niche goods. That meant for many of these businesses, their business was seasonal, so there would be times when business was slow, and during those times there were a lot of layoffs. So apparently it used to be relatively common occurrence during that period, and so that people would have periods of being unemployed until the what do you call it, the production increased again seasonally. So I don't know if that's across the board, but like apparently that was pretty common. But one of the things that helped people during that time is that Philadelphia had always been a city with high home ownership rates. So during those periods where their business, or whatever business they were in was in a slowdown, they could use their homes as a way to make income by renting or whatever else. That may be a reason why home ownership was high, and Philadelphia, one of the nicknames is a city of homes because of high home ownership. And I'd imagine having to be able to adjust with things like that come up made people tougher and grittier, and I think that may have affected the modern Philly culture, or how people identify today. And also, Philadelphia is made up by the many ethnic groups that ended up here. Philadelphia is known, of course, for cheesesteaks and hoagies, which was started by Italian Americans. It has a large Italian American footprint here in Philadelphia. Though I don't think there was some involvement with the Italian Americans in manufacturing, but apparently the manufacturing sector was largely German and English immigrants, and they were kind of exclusive. Even the unions were pretty exclusive, but I did hear that there were successful Italian American lace manufacturers or hosiery manufacturers, but apparently those trade unions were exclusive, but a lot of Italian immigrants, they were involved more in construction and like the infrastructure in that way, which was necessarily considered part of the manufacturing sector, which was the biggest economic sector. The Germans with the pretzels and scrapple is a big influence in Philadelphia. The Italians with the hoagies, Italian food, cheesesteaks, and today, like another interesting story about the history of Philadelphia is as the manufacturing sector started to decline, that was when, or just before that is when the Great Migration happened. So there was influx of many African Americans into Philadelphia, but unfortunately they started coming in when manufacturing started to decline. And by the time that the Civil Rights Act was passed, it was a decade or so into the manufacturing decline. So they were able to find manufacturing jobs, like I guess around that time, but manufacturing already started to decline, and hence there's an issue with a lot of low income in the Philadelphia Black community. Not like always, but I'm sure things have improved over the years. But there was a history of that, Philadelphia today, I think Black American, African American is the largest ethnic group represented. Though I think in recent years there's been more of an influx of Latino residents as well. So, but still, the largest group is Black Americans. They've influenced Philadelphia culture with the Philly soul, Philly soul music that became popular in the 60s, 70s. And then you have many hip hop artists that came from here, from Philadelphia. So the Philadelphia Black community is also a big part of Philly culture. And as I mentioned before, in recent years we had many Latino immigrants. There's a large Cambodian population here, so it's probably one of the few places in the U.S. where you can get good Cambodian food. And there's a large Vietnamese population. My sister, who lives in New York, says that the pho in New York isn't as good as it is in Philadelphia, as there are many good Vietnamese restaurants in Philadelphia because of the Vietnamese population. There's a large Chinese population. So I think all these groups is what makes Philly more so than the Declaration of Independence history. Though it's a cool thing, like the Independence Hall is only in Philadelphia, the Liberty Bell is only in Philadelphia, so it is a thing, but I don't think it's really necessarily like what makes Philly Philly.